Hi, so it's been a while since I've made a video. Been trying to, life happens, Emmy happens, lack of privacy happens, life, happens. So I wanted to just quickly make a video because I've just watched What the Health, this documentary that seems to be buzzing around in the sort of food and nutrition industry at the moment. And I'd just like to start by saying that I don't begrudge anyone trying out different ways of eating, and everybody has their choice in their eating style, and different things work for different people, and that's fine. But I was concerned, and it did trigger a response in me. But I was watching and I was thinking, do you know what? You could just replace dairy with pop, soda, fizzy drinks, we call it in England. And you could just replace meat with sugar and you'd essentially have the same program. You could just substitute some of the different companies for, Coca-Cola and all these other sort of demonized companies that are known for high sugar. There was a lot of talk about diabetes and meat causing type 2 diabetes, but there wasn't really any scientific evidence on there to back it up, about insulin resistance and how that sort of thing's called. There was even a claim about if you don't eat meat or dairy, you can prevent type 1 diabetes. Now, I can't give you links to literature, but if you use the power of the internet and Google things, I'm sure you will find that we have known of type 1 diabetes, diabetes mellitus, since thousands and thousands of years ago. It has been documented, the condition. Obviously it wasn't called diabetes, it was, just referenced as an illness, starvation illness and things like that. But yeah, it's been around since way before we had all this processed stuff. So I think, I totally agree. Processed food is a problem. Definitely processed food is a problem. So processed meat comes under that, of course. But, we shouldn't be eating processed grains and things like that as well. And they kind of shot themselves in the foot a bit, really, because at one point it said, in the documentary, it said, well, we are getting these problems from these animals because we're feeding them GMO and pesticide-covered corn and soy grain products. It's like, well, you're basically saying the problem is because of the plants-based foods that you're feeding it. So surely we're going to have a problem with plant-based stuff as well, because it's all basically processed, GMO and pesticide covered. And well, that could be a whole nother topic, because if you don't use those things, then you're going to end up with other issues. There was a bit that really concerned me about, apparently we don't need to eat animal products for B12, but plants don't make them. They admitted that, but apparently if we ate a natural, non-processed plant-based diet, because if we weren't eating in such a sanitary environment, then we would get the B12, because it's actually produced by certain microbes. Now, I did a degree in biochemistry. I'm not saying I'm a biochemist or anything like that, but I've been, researching nutrition and these kind of things for a pretty long time, and that's the first time that I've heard of that one, so I will sort of go away and look into that a bit more. But yeah, I've always been an advocate of eating some form of meat, fish, because there are certain things like B12 that you cannot get from plants. There are a lot of claims that you can get all of your amino acids from plant-based products. Yeah, if you include all the processed stuff, and aren't we trying to move away from the whole processed food thing? Anyway, there was a lot of bugbears. Like I say, what I do agree with is I think that if you eat a plant-based diet, generally speaking, this is very general because I know plenty of people who are exceptions and I am one of them, but generally speaking, if you eat plant-based, your diet is more likely to be healthier. Now, there are exceptions. Most of the keto community or paleo-based community, myself included, if you don't eat processed foods, and I'm not saying I never do, I do sometimes, but I generally try to avoid processed foods, and you're eating whole foods, by that I mean foods that have not been processed, food, liquids, whatever, not been processed, as much as you can get away from that, which you can't really these days, then your diet is going to be a lot healthier than somebody that's eating stuff out of packets, tins, boxes, stuff that's got barcodes on, that kind of thing. You want to be eating stuff that you can go out and shoot, pick, dig up, forage, all that kind of, that hunter-gatherer stuff. I think we can all agree that that's pretty much the sort of lifestyle that most of us are sort of shooting for, as it were. However, I would just like to say one thing, and very annoying, I try to do this quickly because I'm filming while nobody's in the house. I don't really want to film when people are around. I just don't like to. I think I've said that before. But I watched a couple of weeks ago about a food symposium in Reichswag, I think. And I first started watching some of the videos posted on there because Tim Noakes and all his, issues that he's had with his keto thing, and that's all gone through. But there was a lady on there, I think she was called Amy something or other, I could be completely wrong. But if you search for it on YouTube, hopefully be able to find it. Perhaps I'll be able to find it as well. But what she was saying is that we're all raving about the keto diet, this magic, really high fat diet. And quick update on that, I've actually found that I'm much better off having slightly higher protein and the odd dribble of healthy carbohydrates, banana, sweet potato, that kind of thing. And I've found alternatives to make it more sustainable. But anyway, there's this magic sort of 80% fat, less than 5% or 10% for some carbohydrate, that kind of thing, that seems to have all these therapeutic benefits. And there are loads of vegans that I know who are now not vegans, so ex-vegans, like some people I follow. Healthful Pursuit is one that I can think of, who was a vegan keto Queenie, who I think might be subscribed to me still, but I've watched some of hers. She used to be vegan but has found that keto works much better. And I've also tried a plant-based, I don't think I was a vegan, I think I was a vegetarian, but basically plant-based. I've tried that, and I've found personally that actually high protein, high fat, low carbohydrate, for me personally, seems to work much better. I've not been so good with it recently. I'll do another video about that. But I've definitely noticed that symptoms are on the up since I've not been quite as strict with things. So yeah, like I say, I'll do a video about that. But anyway, this lady, what she was saying is, what if you flip that, and if you go low fat, and she's not talking about the 30% low fat that's advocated, she means really low fat, like 10%. What if there's some magic happening on that end of the scale as well? What if you go below that 10% fat, which you could very easily do on a vegan diet, a plant-based diet, and there are plenty of vegans, plant-based eaters who advocate at least 80% carbohydrate, if not 90%, so mainly carbohydrate, very low fat and protein. What if at that level of that low fat, you get some magic happening and some therapeutic benefits happening there as well? on the other end of the spectrum. And what if perhaps for some people that just happened to agree with them more than others? I'd just sort of like to end with that thought there, because I'm not saying that I wholeheartedly think, one is way better than the other. All I'm saying is that the way that What the Health presented their evidence and went about it, I very much disagree with. For me personally, I've tried both plant-based and now been doing keto. That seems to have worked better for me. But what I'm saying is, what if, as we know, there's no one-size-fits-all approach, and what if actually you could have those therapeutic benefits at both ends of the spectrum? Something to consider. Thank you for listening.